We continue our journey into the Leningrad Dutch with the following game played between two Grandmaster players, Grigorian Av 2509 and Malanyuk Vladimir 2498. It was played in 2008. D4, F5, Knight F3, G6, G3, Knight F6, Bishop G2, Bishop G7, Castle, C4, D6. Okay, and now there is Knight C3 and C6, and this is our standard, the one that we want to learn. The goal of watching all these model games is to internalize and understand how this opening work without having the space repetition or other magical systems that are proven by science, but strangely there are no real studies that prove or disprove that, because science is based also on disproving something, right? So instead, here I don't claim any science behind it. I claim that, however, most of the chess players in the past and the amateur chess player, when they wanted to learn a chess opening, they would watch endless games played by good players in that opening to see what works, what doesn't, and eventually figure out why. Okay? Now, we see that this move d5 is kind of very important because it tries to fix e6. Why it tries to fix e6? Because if you play this, it can do this, right? So you say, but why do I want this? Because this is the push you actually want to achieve in the Leningrad Dutch to gain the attack, for example, on the king side or control of the center. But d5 refutes that, in a sense, in my opinion, right? Yet black plays e5 right away because he wants clarity. He wants to know what he's going to do after. And then in reality he has taken away also the control that white had on e6. So we understand that chess in the opening is not only about moving the pieces, but the control and the fight to control some squares. And that's what we are doing here, right? We are fighting for the control of some squares. Once this bishop is developed, white has the problem of how to defend this. In this game it was played b3. The problem of b3, as you can see, is this diagonal, where there is an X-ray attack on the rook a1 once this is moved. So that's a kind of important thing, right? Knight a6, because in the opening we want to bring out all the pieces. Bishop a3, Knight c5, Queen c2, defending this. Queen e7, defending in a sense, but at least removing from the semi-open file that white for sure is going to occupy. Now, I can ask you a simple question. It doesn't matter if you are a beginner or not, but we understand the ideas behind the moves from what I just told you. I told you now the diagonal is going to be open, so you clearly don't want to have something here that it pin this, right? So what do you do next? Notice that for white the opening in a sense is over. Why? Because once you connect the rooks, you have developed all your pieces. And so at this point white starts to do some middle game plans. Okay, for white this is the middle game, but also for black. This is the middle game because, as you can see, also for black, the rooks are connected, right? So for both of them, they are in the middle game and they need to start to create a plan. How do you create a plan? The plan, as we have seen in this book, that I show some games from this beautiful book, is based on the pawn structure. That's where the plan generally is. What does the plan mean? That you attack the pawn that you feel weak in the black territory. What pawn is weak? The definition of a weak pawn is a pawn that cannot be defended by another pawn. That's the definition. So in black's territory, what applies to this definition? To the pawn d6. Now, we add the fact that we don't want to have this rook here. So what is the next move? Well, I think you got it, right? Rook a d1. So this also helps you to understand when you say, but should I move this rook here or this rook here? Well, we had a reason to move it here because we want to take it away from this diagonal and we want to attack a weak pawn. That's it. Okay, that's what we are doing here. Black obviously defend the weak pawn. e3 is taking away two squares from black possibilities. Rook f e8. Why rook f e8? Because again, you see that this bishop is on that diagonal. Sometimes we will make mistakes because we don't have time to think and so on. But if we prevent the possibility that a mistake arises, moving away the rook, at least now you have only the problem of a queen being there, right? Okay, rook f e1, queen c7. As you can see, these two grandmasters are very good. They are very good. Look how both of them took away their pieces from danger. And that's what you learn from watching games like this one. We learn, yes, the opening move, but what we learn for real is this thing. So we should have paid attention to these moves, because these moves tell us a lot of what we should do in the Leningrad Dutch when also we don't have a particular plan as black. We want to remove the pieces from danger. Knight g5. Bishop c8. Obviously, as you can see, modern chess is we don't want to lose the bishop pair. You cannot put it here, also if it would be a beautiful square, because it's taken, okay? So you have to put it back in a place where it's out of danger. Now, that place is good now because the rook is already here. Otherwise the rook would be out of the game and that's really not good, okay? b4, knight e6. He wants to stay there. He wants to have this bishop on e6, and that's why he's trying to fight this knight, okay? Now, keep in mind that white doesn't want to exchange, because if he exchanges, he's doing a favor to black, right? Let's say, he does this, take, and now what do? You do this, perfect, boom. And I have gained a pass pawn and control of two squares in the enemy territory. Beautiful position for black. Yes, this is bad at the moment, but maybe after it will not be. So let's think about it, right? Let's think about what's going on and what happens. As you can see, white is not going to exchange, So what is white going to do? Well, he is going to return back. Knight f3. a6, controlling, bishop b2, fighting on the diagonal, queen f7, knight e4, opening the diagonal, knight e4, exchanging possibly the bishops and putting a knight in an outpost in the enemy territory. Obviously, white wants to do the same, and here, as you can see, this knight b6 is kind of interesting, because at this point none of the two will have the bishop pair. Bishop takes b2, queen takes b2, queen c7, knight takes c8. And now how do you retake this knight? Because that's kind of important, probably, right? How do you retake the knight? He took with the rook. Knight d2, as you can see, also white doesn't want an enemy piece in his own territory. d5, trying to cement the outpost, but I don't know. And queen b3. Now you can try to see what happens here. C takes d5, c takes d5, knight takes e4, d takes e4, and the pawn structure is totally symmetrical, so probably it's a kind of draw. But also here at this point maybe it's already a kind of draw, right? Because as you can see there are not big imbalances in this position, and this is also what you want to do, honestly, with black. It's not that you must win at every cost. Yes, it would be great to win with black, but if you can't, it's okay, you know. Knight takes d2, rook takes d2, d takes e4, queen takes e4 on this diagonal that for the Dutch is kind of bad. Queen f7. As you can see, black keeps control of d5, because I tell you, this diagonal is something bad for black. a4, knight g5, trying to exchange the queens, so the game goes toward draw. Queen c2, knight e4, rook d4, knight f6. Again, black is clearly improving his position and covering all the important squares. Okay? Queen d1, try to penetrate, but he can't. Queen e7, maybe preparing an exchange on d8. Queen d2, king g7, h3, h5, queen d3, rook c7, bishop f3, and queen e5, and here both sides agreed to a draw. As you can see, if he also try to enter, he can't. The 7th rank is controlled, the 8th rank is controlled. It's a perfect situation. Nobody of the two sides can actually create a pass pawn at the moment without risking, so they settle for a draw. I hope you enjoyed this quick game, and it taught us a lot about what? About prophylaxis. They remove all the pieces from danger. That's what they did, and that's what we should learn to do too. Okay? I hope you enjoyed this video, and I will make many more. Thank you.